I'm not going to go into the brain science piece, but this is all verified, very verified by science these days. And that is that when we have a certain set of habits, and the brain responds to emotions too, by the way, not by the rational, we have very strong chemical pathways in our brain for those emotions and those things that give us that emotion. And when Sarah, and I know this about Sarah because Sarah and I are very dear friends, Sarah's been cleaning out, and Sarah had more stuff than you can imagine. And this has been very hard for her, and it has triggered her into some real flight or fright, okay? And that's exactly what happens in the brain, all right? And it can, but think about this. This can happen as we change even our thinking, because that part of the brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. Think about the last time a child or a dear friend was late from coming from someplace, and you started to imagine that they'd been in an accident, that they were dead, they'd been whatever. And it was your imagination that sent you into a panic. Nothing real happened. It was the story that you made up in your brain. Okay? So the story that we live in about having to keep all the emails or having to keep all the stuff or doing things like we've always done them.
Letting go of a part-time job you hate.
Exactly. I'm letting go of that money. What's going to happen? Exactly. So
gaining that freedom.
Yeah, so even the freedom. So we see freedom. Guess what? Freedom doesn't always register as being comfortable.
Right.
Or it may instantaneously, and then the thinking part of our brain kicks in. Oh my God, what if I need one of those emails? What if there's something really important in there? Oh my God, what if I need that?
What if 1 week I don't make that much money on my other stuff?
Exactly.
Well, if I didn't have it, whatever. You know, I would have managed without it before.
You got it. Now, here's what I'm going to say. So here's what I'm going to say. While we're chasing shiny objects and thinking that's what's important, guess what? We will be in our old habits.
We will what?
We will be in our old habits. So the changes that we're talking about, shifting to why, we're going to talk about this later. You do them in small steps and small changes. Because otherwise you will trigger going right back to the familiar. It's just like being addicted to heroin. I have to tell you, and in the brain, it is no different than feeding an addiction. It's absolutely no different. You get a chemical release in your brain from repeating a behavior that's familiar. Your brain says, oh God, oh, I like that one. I like that juice that I just got. Do something new, you won't get the juice. And you think, well, that wasn't very comfortable. What's going to happen to me now? You know? And you will, this is the insidiousness, you will find often a way to double back and do something to get your juice. It'll be a different version of your old habit. You all know the stories of women who continually get into abusive relationships, right? They go from alcoholic to something else, to something else, to something else. And then once they get rid of the men, they'll be in an abusive relationship with another woman,
right.
You know, a friend or whatever.
Someone told them what to do. And
exactly. Guess what? This is because the brain gets, this is just like an addiction. The good thing about this is, there are ways we can do this. The ways that we can make these changes. But one of the things about being hard on yourself, so even in Jane's example this morning, she gets a chemical hit when she criticizes herself.
Right.
Okay? If she were to declare satisfaction at the end of a day, guess what? She's not going to get the hit.
Even if she did it 10
Exactly.
times in a row.
Exactly.
Faked it till you make it.
Welcome to the world of, the human brain.